And welcome to this hour of HQ. We are following breaking news right now at this hour. Steven Strasburg has, according to multiple reports, reached an agreement, a massive agreement with his team, the Nationals.
ESPN is reporting that it would be the largest deal ever. 7 years, $245 million. Interesting note there that that's the reported deal that Garrett Cole was going to be offered, or has already been offered, by the New York Yankees. So maybe that resets the market and gives Garrett Cole more money. So this is the breaking news we're following at this hour from the winter meetings in San Diego. Steven Strasburg, the World Series MVP, returning to the Washington Nationals on a 7-year deal worth $245 million. Just a fantastic season. 209 innings pitched, ERA of 3.32. He was 18-6 overall. And even better in the postseason, just dominant. When they needed him most in the playoffs, he went 6-2 with an ERA under 1.5 in his career. And, of course, the World Series MVP. All right, we've got the best man to talk to about this right off the bat. David Sampson from the Nothing Personal with David Sampson podcast set. David, I just want to get your initial reaction to this monumental deal that is reportedly going to happen.
Well, Steven Strasburg signed a deal where he had a player opt-out, and what we're learning is player opt-outs are only good for the player. Steven Strasburg had $100 million left over 4 years when he opted out. That's $25 million a year. What he ended up getting was $245 over 7. So quick math would tell you that he got an extra $145 million and an extra 3 years. That's almost $48 million per year for those extra 3 years. He's obviously coming off a World Series MVP season. The Nationals have come out and said we can only afford Strasburg or Rendon, but they were both Scott Boras clients. So many layers to this, Chris. Where do you want to start?
Well, listen, I mean, you're the man. And Jim Bowden has confirmed this, so it's no longer just a report. This is a done deal, a record deal. I guess Yankee fans are going to want to know, does this mean that Garrett Cole is going to need more money?
Well, Garrett Cole will definitely get paid more. So here's you have to understand what goes on at the winter meetings. It is a frenzy of teams who are reeking of desperation. They know that there are players available who don't come too often with the quality of pitching like Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg. And they know very well that in order to win, you must have pitching. And they're controlled by the same agent. So what does Scott Boras do? He puts out a rumor saying the minimum for Garrett Cole, which the Yankees are reportedly offering, coincidentally is $245 over 7. Meanwhile, he knows very well that Cole's going to get more, but what he just did was get Strasburg more money. The reason Strasburg opted out is he knew that he'd do better than the $100 million. He knew that there were teams who wanted him because you have those conversations before you opt out. And he basically plays these teams against each other like a master puppeteer. Why is Boras doing it so much earlier this year than in previous years? Because teams are hitting the bid that he did not dream of. $35 million per year for 7 years for Steven Strasburg is a dream come true. He's pitching 31-32. He's had injuries, and now you're looking at seeing whether he can carry the Nationals rotation for 7 years. Good luck.
Okay, put yourself in the front office there in Washington for just a second. You already have the World Series championship. Of course, fans are going to want more. As soon as they get a taste, you give a mouse a cookie. It's basically like that. Why don't you think this is a good deal money-wise for Strasburg?
I just worry about the number of years. I actually understand and agree why the Nationals would choose Strasburg over Rendon. And no one's talking about this except here on the Q, but my view is that they're going to have to pay Juan Soto. And you can really only afford a hugely expensive generational position player and a hugely expensive generational pitcher. You can't have everything. So you can't have Rendon and Strasburg and then pay Soto. So what they're doing is they're choosing Soto over Rendon, and I agree with that because Soto will end up being a better player. Rendon is at its high. The season he had was perfectly timed, and now some other team is going to have to pay up for Rendon.
How is deferred money potentially going to play into this? Can you explain that?
So the Nationals are a big fan of deferring money, and every long-term deal that they do includes deferred money. What that means, we've talked about it here on this show and on the HQ, Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid by the New York Mets. That's the definition of deferred money, when you're paying for a player who no longer plays for you. And the reason the Nationals do that is if your salary in a particular year is $30 million, but you pay him $15 million now and then $15 million 5 years from now, all you have to do if you're the owner is come up with $15 million in cash, and you worry about the other 15 later. But 5 years from now, when Strasburg is not pitching for you, let's say, and you're still have to pay him, that doesn't feel good. So think about the New York Mets, Chris. They write a check to Bobby Bonilla for $1 million. It's called Bobby Bonilla Day. We in the media, other teams, fans of the Mets, don't think that that's part of their payroll. But from an owner's standpoint, that is part of the payroll. So deferred money is very dangerous.
Well, this deal for Steven Strasburg, 7 years, $245 million, is $35 million per season. That's the most in AAV for a pitcher. That's the most guaranteed money for a pitcher in Major League history. But how long is this record going to stand?
Anywhere between 1 second and the first pitch of spring training, because Gerrit Cole will get more than $35 million per year, and he may now get above the 7 years because Cole is a tick younger than Strasburg. I just find it shocking because when you're allocating payroll, the way we built a team and the way you built a champion is you need 1, 2, 3 pitchers plus a bullpen plus position players. So for the Nationals, if they have a payroll of $200 million and they're allocating $35 million to Strasburg, $30 million to Max Scherzer, then they're going to be paying Soto when Soto's ready. You could be looking at 3 players making $90 million on your team. That's hard to win that way.
All right, we're going to have much more from David Samson in just a moment. Want to take a quick timeout here on CBS Sports HQ. But recapping the breaking news, and it has been confirmed by our Jim Bowden, Steven Strasburg and the Nationals have agreed on a record-setting 7-year, $245 million deal. Don't go anywhere.